Hello everyone. In this demonstration I'm going to show you how to do some basic file uploading and hosting on Turbo 360. So Turbo 360 supports static file uploads, so like image hosting, PDFs, audio files, things of that sort. And it's more than just a file hosting provider though. It also gives you the benefits of a global CDN. So what that means is that as you upload files to the Turbo platform, those files will be distributed to a global content distribution network and cached on those network servers, so that if your users are somewhere else in the country or the world, like let's say Europe or Asia, they will receive those files, those contents, from a server that's geographically closer to their location than where you may be located. So for example, I'm in New York, but a lot of people who watch my tutorials and such are from other places in the country and the world. So my tutorials are being hosted on the Turbo platform, and those assets, the videos and whatnot, are coming from, or specifically the images, they're coming from the global CDN. So they're cached on servers that are closer to my user's location rather than the East Coast where I am located. So Turbo gives you that benefit out of the box. Everything just works, and you don't have to worry about it. So I'm going to show you how to leverage that benefit right now in this demonstration. So let's get into it. So first thing you want to make sure about is you want to make sure you have all the right tools installed. So I am running Node 6.10. Make sure you have that. If you have version 4, it's going to be too low. So make sure you go to here and download the LTS if you want to upgrade, if you need to upgrade. And then make sure you have the Turbo CLI also installed. And then we're also going to need Webpack. These should all be global installations, and then Gulp. And that should be good for now. That whole process should take about 2 minutes if you haven't done that already. And then next thing you're going to need is a Turbo account, of course. So if you don't have that, navigate over to turbo360.co, and you can sign up for free down here. Right here, it's free. So go ahead and sign up an account, and then we should have everything we need to get started. So I'm going to log in. And here's my dashboard. So let's get started with the Turbo project. Let's create a new project. I'm going to navigate to my desktop, and let's create a new project called File Upload. We have to cd into the project directory and run the npm install, and that will install all the dependencies we need to get up and running. So this usually takes about a minute or two. While that's going, let's create the corresponding project on the Turbo dashboard. So file upload demo. And here is our project admin console, and we're going to need the app ID, which is our unique identifier for the Turbo project on the platform. So this is what uniquely identifies our project. And then while that's going, this is almost done. We are going to then connect this project locally, the local source code, to the remote project on Turbo. It's kind of like, it's similar to connecting your local project source code to a GitHub repository. It's a similar thought process. So this is now done. So to do that, we do Turbo app, and then we paste in the ID number of your application, and we're good to go. So now our project configuration is ready. Let's do a dev server test real quick. And the dev server is running on localhost 3000. So if you go to localhost 3000, you will see our project currently scaffolded. So we're good to go. So turn off the dev server and then open up your project in Sublime or wherever you like to do your work. So file upload, where is it? Can't see it. Here we go. Okay. Open it up in Sublime, and then the index HTML is where your project HTML begins. So file upload demo. I'm going to change it to file upload demo. Let's get rid of all the other initial content because we don't really need that for now. It's just in the way. So let's get rid of all this. Okay, and then here, let's see here. Let's do upload file. Let's have a button that says upload file. Okay, and that should be it for now. And let's give it an ID, button upload. Okay, a couple things here. You'll notice that the scaffolded project already has a series of JavaScript imports, which we're going to use. So the vendor.min are just basically standard imports like jQuery and stuff like that. In fact, I think in this case that's all it is jQuery. So if you look at the JS file, you'll see that, oh, dropzone as well. So I'm using dropzone and jQuery, and those get compiled into the vendor.min.js. This is the SDK, the Turbo SDK, coming from a CDN. You want to maintain the CDN version because it's being upgraded all the time. So you don't want to run this locally because then you don't get the updates. So the updates are never breaking changes though, so you don't have to worry about that. You don't have to worry about that. And then the app.min.js comes from here, which is where our custom app logic will reside. So we're going to be doing most of our work in here. So let's set that up. So let's set up a let's run a function right away and then do a console log. Hello, file upload. And then what we want to do next is open another tab in your terminal and run gulp, because gulp will compile all of these assets into the distribution version. So what you have to understand is that these files don't actually run, they get compiled by the gulp tasks defined here. And the app task in particular is what's going to compile this file into the app.min file, and then that is what gets imported into your Turbo project. So this is considered best practice for standard web development. You want to minimize and concatenate your assets. You want to make everything optimal and efficient, so that you're not delivering assets that are unnecessary or just wasteful from a bandwidth standpoint. So here, if we run the dev server again, now this time I'm going to open the console by doing Option Command I, the debugger console, and click on console. And here you see the hello file upload that we just did, and this is the button that we imported before, set up before. So everything worked. So now let's go back to our app.js. And let's grab that button. So here I'm using jQuery. And then I'm going to bind a click handler to this function, to this button, excuse me. Technically we don't need this prevent default, but it's just a good habit that I like to do. So upload file. Okay, so gulp is still running, if you notice. So it's watching these files, so there's no need to rebuild. There's no harm in rebuilding, but gulp should be doing that for you anyway. So if I reload the page, actually I have to restart the dev server. So once I reload the page, the update should automatically take effect, and there it is. All right, so now we're good to go. So now we want to actually invoke the upload process when this button is clicked. In other words, when I click this button, what I want to see is a file selector pop up where I can see a bunch of files, and then click on one and then have that trigger the upload. So what we're going to need is the Turbo. We need to instantiate the Turbo SDK. So Turbo, that's Turbo, and that takes a site ID parameter, which is your app ID from your dashboard. So if you go to your dashboard, select your project, grab your app ID, that's it right there. So now we have access to our Turbo project. This is basically our liaison to the Turbo backend. And the reason why this works is because the CDN right here gives us that functionality. So we're basically using the CDN right now. Not basically, but literally. So this guy will give us the upload functionality that we need. Right, so what we want to do is call the upload function. Now, if you don't know what the the available APIs are for the SDK, there's a documentation file right here, and one of them is upload. Or actually, no, excuse me. Let's go to the web documentation. Which is right here. And if you go to the file storage page, you'll see there's an example upload right here. So we can just grab the upload file function and use that as a test. So this will trigger the upload, and then we pass in a completion handler to call back when the upload is done. And it's either going to give us a success or an error message when the upload is complete, if the upload completes. So let's go back to our gulp. So gulp is crashing here. I must have made a silly mistake earlier. I'm going to run gulp again. Okay, everything ran clean this time. If you want to be really sure about it, you should do npm run build, and this will give you a totally clean build process from scratch. And this is the best way to build your assets before deployment. So now we have the build process done. And if I go back here to localhost 3000, everything will look the same. However, when I click this button, it will now launch the file selector. So then we can select a file to upload. So if I want to select like a text file, so here are some football fantasy names I was brainstorming. It's we're coming upon fantasy football season, so I was just doing that. So if I click on this, it will upload the file, and then here's the callback, upload complete. And you'll see that it gives us confirmation, the name of the file, as well as the URL of the file. This really should be in a console log rather than an alert. So I'm going to do console log. And then I'm going to run the gulp one more time. And I'm going to test it again because I really want to see the confirmation down here. Down here. That'll make it easier to copy and paste the URL and whatnot. So, however, while that's building, if we go back to our dashboard and click on storage, you will see the file that we just uploaded a minute ago. And then you can click on view to actually see the file, in this case a text file. But you can upload any kind of file you want, right? So if I reload the page now, and then I upload, let's say, this time I'm going to upload an image. So let's find an image. So let's see here. Okay, so here's an image of a dog. Okay, so if I click on that and then I upload, here is the callback completion. So you'll see that it gives us a series of things. It gives us a success confirmation as well as the result. This is a resulting file. the name of the file, the MIME type, and the URL. This is the most important thing, so we can access the actual file. And if I click on that, that's the image I just uploaded. That's me. So the size, the timestamp, all that stuff. So it worked. And then if I do another upload, this time I'm going to upload an MP3 file, an audio file. So let's see if I can find one. Okay. So it gives us progress callbacks, which is good. And then upload complete. So again, here's the name of the file, the MIME type, the URL, again the most important part. So we can access the URL directly right here. And notice here how it says storage.turbo.co. This is the CDN. So this is where we cache these assets into a global CDN for maximum delivery time or minimum delivery time. We want to make it as fast as possible. And then here's the audio file that we just uploaded. So that's it. And one more thing about the image in particular. So I'm going to upload one more image. This time I'm going to upload a screenshot. Okay, here's the image. So here's a screenshot. Now the reason I uploaded this is because it's a landscape screenshot. It's wider than it is tall. Right, oftentimes with images in particular, you need to have images within a certain dimension, usually a square, perfectly square dimension. So with this image hosting, it's very easy. All you have to do is go to the end of the URL and append the following, equals s 120-c. So by appending this sort of parameter right here, what we're saying is that we want the image to be a 120 pixel by 120 pixel dimension image, and the -c means make it a perfect square. So here the image has been cropped down to a perfect square, 120 pixels by 120 pixels. So if you want something like 240, we just do that instead. And it'll dynamically crop the image to make it easy for loading things like thumbnails and things of that sort. So you definitely want to be mindful of that. And if you don't want the square, if you don't want a perfect square aspect ratio, just remove the C and it'll give you the natural aspect ratio. And that should take care of that. So, and here is 1024, so you can just go up and down. So that's very helpful for loading images on your website that don't have to be natural size. You just want a smaller size. You can just do it dynamically, and that works. So all of that works on Turbo. It's all functional by default, and it's very easy to use and very convenient for things like image sizing and cropping and things like that. So that's it. If you go real quick, if you go back to your project admin console, here are all the files I just uploaded. You could also view them all from here, and you can delete them if necessary. So that's how you do that. So that's it. That's the file static asset management system on Turbo 360. Hopefully you were able to follow along. And if you have any questions or comments, feel free to shoot me an email. This is my address, and would love to hear from you. And if you have any feedback, we'd love to hear that too. So I appreciate it. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next demo.